My name's Dave Thompson. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator here at the Richmond Center for Disability. And we are here with our peer chat and disability info section. And we have a great informative topic for you today. And there was, I think it was Bob Dylan that said, the times they are a-changin'. That's referencing me a long time. And we have seen a lot of changes in the last year with inclusion and accessibility and racial issues, and it is really sort of, we've started to see a lot of more people being included in commercials and whatnot else that have certain disabilities or accessibility issues. So we thought we would give our viewers that maybe this was something as a hobby or a career path that they may want to pursue. And then some of the theater groups started sending us emails about schools and things that they were starting up. So we thought, let's do this. So we have a guest here today, and her name is, I hope I say this right, Susanna Uchetis, and she is the Artistic Director of Theatre Terrific. And she has worked for over 35 years in theater and contemporary arts voice at the Banff Center for Fine Arts. I worked there once as in construction when I was a teenager. UBC National Voice Intensive, worked with Anne Bogarty in New York. Just an amazing bio, but we really would like to thank you for being here today. And welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, and do you know sign language, or just a little bit?
Just a little bit, the basics, yeah. And we are using it in some of our classes. We have an ASL interpreter, and it's an ongoing learning curve.
Yes, and then there's things like seeing eye or vocal eye, yeah. Right, as well. Right. Amy and Manti and her right. My father-in-law is blind, so I know a little bit of that area. So I've got some great questions for you today, I hope, and I think we'll get right into them. And so the one thing why we're doing this section is because all these things have been coming up. So where do you suggest people get started?
Well, there are a couple of organizations. Theatre Terrific, we've actually been at this since 1985. I have been the AD for the last 15, 16 years. I've lost track. You can go online, you can go onto our website and just have a look to see what we do. There are past shows that you can look at, past classes that you can look at. I think it's you need to reach out and make a connection. And I guess I would say don't feel that you need to prove anything, that you have that desire to express in whatever way is your form of expression. We have a very large community. We have people who do not, for example, have a verbal voice, but communicate in other ways. If you wish to express, look us up.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answer. You do what you're doing, and if it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just sort of say, like, all of our productions, and we do community production and professional. I hate using those two words because, I am a union member from the actors union and so on. But through all my years, I think of myself as a student, and the ways to artistically express for those who perhaps do it in a very unique way, they offer so much creative, expansion. So there's just saying, don't be hindered if you think you have a lack of experience or you have not had formal schooling or those things. Reach out. We welcome you.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I do that with one of my classes. I don't tell any of the people what the things are I'm showing them because I want them to maybe see it in their head first. But if I tell them what it is, then they may not get there, right?
Right.
All right. Awesome. So the schools, we've seen a couple of these establishing. Has this been something that has been in the works for a while? And what should someone look for in a school
Okay, when you say school, like, we
or
run classes.
class
Schools
classes?
embodies a whole building.
Right.
But we run classes, and of course during this COVID period, we've been running them online. Choral classes, acting class. We just have a puppetry class going on. Um, when you talk about that, I'm going to say one of the things that we really look for, I call it the 3 Rs. Let's say we're walking into a studio, or you're coming in, entering a studio, in whichever way you are entering it. The very first thing that needs to be in place is respect. You may be there with people that you have never had the opportunity to work with or are not familiar with. So it's respect. Just, that's the very first thing. And then in creating art, there's rigor. It's work.
Mm.
It's work. There has to be rigor to it. And so, you might get things not figured out right away. Whenever you're attempting something new, there's a learning process, and that's the rigor. And then the last thing, because it is art, which is always a bit dangerous, there is risk, right? You try things. You take a chance.
Put yourself out there. Yeah.
Put yourself out there. And if there's the respect is in there, you may be questioned. They may ask, well, what about if you tried it like this? Or maybe, hey, maybe could you do that? And it becomes very much a collaborative process. When you have a huge diversity in a room, it needs to be collaborative so that we're all sharing different ways of negotiating whatever the process is. So that's usually, I find it, I always say I may have been teaching this very long, but I think I'm a really good student and I'm always learning.
A lifelong learner.
Yeah, lifelong learner. But it's, putting those things in place that really, and I say that, and I mean that deeply, because respect, people come into a room with a whole lived perspective that may be unfamiliar to many. And so how do we, first of all, know that they are welcome, they are accepted, but we also ask that they be aware of others who may have different lived perspectives. So, there's so many, but of course that's what makes it so, it makes it a wonderful mosaic when you have such diversity. So those are the 3 things that we kind of really attempt to really establish in any class, any production.
So again, something that when I worked in a comedy club years ago, we would get, for our stand-up comedians, we would get, of course, this is a long time ago, technology-wise, we would get videos and we would get headshots of the comics and resumes. And so nowadays in the digital age and whatnot else, what kind of promo package should someone be building for themselves to sort of promote themselves once they get into that stage? Is there sort of a standard that most people look for, or?
Okay. I'm going to say, and especially it is so different. I mean, this year has been a remarkably unique year, right, due to COVID. I'm going to say promos, and I think I might be a bit of an outlier in this. When we work live in studio, I've had actors that have been on Broadway and a gentleman here with Down syndrome that has never done anything. So you'll get wonderful, headshots and all these wonderful resumes. And I'm just going to say this has been my practice. I don't know if it's the same for everyone. I do not look at that. I put it aside to look at later. I think for myself and for the group, what really tells you who is going to be contributing collaboratively is what happens in that room. May I tell you a story that explains that?
Sure.
I'd love to do that. This was an audition for a production that we were doing, and it was in a large space in a studio, and professional actors and community, just a real wonderful hodgepodge, about 30 people. And we do a thing called crossings in live theater, where you make a big circle, and then you make eye contact with someone, and then you simply meet in the middle of the circle, and an action can happen. Now, the professional actors, they thought, oh yes, this is disability theater, so I'm going to pick someone that's disabled, and and they would meet, and then they would start to teach them what they think they're supposed to do.
Mm.
Mm. So there was one actress that came, and she made eye contact with a young gentleman that has cognitive differences, and they walked and they met in the middle of the circle, and they stood there for probably was maybe 2 or 3 minutes just looking at each other. And then about at the same time, they both said, "I don't know what to do." It was so, and they laughed, and then the communication began. Just to say they were both hired and we used them. It was an honest opening up and
Yeah,
sharing as
they
they
were
were
both
equitable.
comfortable to be vulnerable, right?
To
Yeah.
be vulnerable, but also it's an equity situation, is that just because I have, and I think I know, but this person comes with a different lived perspective, and they have things that, let's say me as an experienced actress have no idea.
Mm.
And so this was an equal sharing, and boom. I mean, we were all fascinated. They had a 5-minute conversation, and it was riveting because it was honest and open.
And you got rid of
Those are
all
the
those
things.
stereotypes and things were not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it sounds really simple, but it is that simple thing, that simple moment of really truth and of taking off your armor and just being, I call it being with. When you do live performance with it, how do you be with this great variety? How do you do that?
Right. Well,
And
you're
look,
just two people first, right? You're just two people, disability, no disability, whatever it is, right?
mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is we always practice people first language. So it's kind of like throw that in the second part, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what do you think kind of roles are opening up, do you think, with in emerging?
Well, there are roles. I mean, it is happening. It's even happening in film. Actually, I'm taking someone to audition today, um, and they were looking for someone with cognitive differences. And I said, listen, the person I'm bringing is not Down syndrome. That seems to be the classic. And they went, oh yes, that's what we want. I've had people that have gone in with cerebral palsy, because some people that have that lived experience, they speak in a very unique way. What are the things they're looking for? There's a fine learning line that's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of what I call insertion. We're going to put this very obviously disabled
Mm-hmm.
person here because it looks good. But then how do you truly, I can tell you another story. Stories are the best way. I was at a disability conference in Toronto, and they were doing a show at the Glenn Gould Studios, a big show, beautiful, big theater. And this was an international conference, so there were a wonderful variety of people there, and I'm in the audience, and there were 4 actors on stage. 3 of them seemed apparent to have no
Noticeable.
disability, no visible, and one gentleman had Down syndrome. The other 3 actors were doing acting. The gentleman with Down syndrome on the stage, it was simply like they had told him, walk here and walk there, and he was given no. I've walked out of a performance twice in my life. I got up and I couldn't watch this. It was too painful. And lo and behold, in the waiting area were 4, 5, 6 other people from Australia, from England. One was in a wheelchair, one was a small person. And we all looked at each other because we'd all left. And we said, okay, let's go to the pub and talk about this. So
they all walked out too. You met them. Oh.
And we all met, and we all looked at it. We were a little embarrassed because we'd walked out of this big performance, and how dare we do that? But we had walked out for the same reason. So we went to the pub next door, and we talked about it. Like, this was embarrassing. It was shameful to watch the disrespect given to this one. Give him the chance to offer something, but it hadn't happened. And so we shared a lot of points of view, and those are the kinds of stories that enlighten me in the work that I do. That, okay, we're all human beings. I tell people when they come in, the very first thing from the moment you're born and you take your first breath, you're a human being first.
Mm-hmm.
And we share more in common than we share not in common. So let's start from there. What is it? What is it we
well
need?
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think the industry is adapting accessibility-wise?
I call it also the respective challenge. When people come into a space and you want to create something together, indulgence doesn't help anybody. I keep thinking we do some very, very difficult work. We do Suzuki. This is really strident work. I remember one wonderful young woman who was deaf and has cerebral palsy, and she signed to me with it and said, I have cerebral palsy, how can I do this? And I told her, I said, listen, your journey to negotiate this is going to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to teach us. You're going to be a teacher for us on this. And so she negotiated and went, wow, that book was never in my library. You just gave us a new book.
Right.
So when we ask people come in, again, it's when I say respect, that's a simple word you can throw around. But we have, it's listening and being with. I can tell you another story. It's best to explain. May I do that with another
Mm-hmm.
story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we always start in a circle. And we even do that on Zoom. We establish what is a circle, a Zoom circle. And I have let's say if we're in a live studio, I have a big a stone that has a story behind it. And what we do is we simply pass the stone, take a breath, make eye contact, and then pass it to the next person. Well, we have one gentleman, we have people in wheelchairs, and one gentleman, he's very spastic. And the woman in the wheelchair, she's also the difficulty to pass this stone. And people reached, we have to help them. And I said, no, just nope. And the work it took, the 2-3 minutes and all of us silent to pass that stone, that's theater.
Mm-hmm.
That was theater. It was riveting. I would have paid to see that. And just the acknowledgement from everyone else, we are going to wait and just be with you. We are not going to disturb your contact here or think that we need to insert ourselves to, unless asked. We're not going to do that. We are just going to be with you on that journey it takes for that stone to get from one person to the other. Those are simple things, but I can tell you that when we do have auditions and we have a real mix of actors come in, and of course I've done TV and film and that kind of stuff, and they say, I wish all auditions were like this. We come into the room, we be with each other, and we play. I will share with you something which I do have a daughter who's born with brain damage, and she's remarkable. I learn a lot from her all the time. She's not a saint. She's also my daughter, so we have our battles. But I will say something, and I hope, I want to say this, and please, if you need to edit it out, you can edit, because it's got a naughty word in it. The first time we had our real fight, and she's speech impaired and these kinds of things and that, and she had done something she wasn't supposed to do, and I was giving her heck, and she was mad and fighting with me, and okay, here it comes, and she says, well, just don't you talk to your mother that way. But inside I'm going, yeah, you have to fight, you own yourself, and you have the right to, of course she was wrong, I knew that. But she's not supposed to talk to her mom like that, but no, she has the,
She felt passionate about it.
Yeah, she could fight for herself. And those are the, that we give that we do support that, and those that live on the margins so often, they incredible observers. Oh my gosh, I have quite a community that I have the honor of knowing, and they remember and they are incredible observers. So, bringing them in to and honoring what they see and are aware of is, we need to honor that. We need to honor that all the time. So that's
Very,
part
very
of it.
well said.
I'll tell you one more story, and then
Okay.
I'm talking too much.
Yeah, then
okay.
I'm not sure where my time is, but
one more. No, it's just, and this one I share personally. When COVID came, COVID, and then just about a day after my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and then we're doing chemo, and all these things, fun and games, right? The 3 C's.
Pile it on.
Pile it on. I want you to know he's doing well now. But my daughter comes, and I'm super mom. I got to be super mom, and she comes to give me a hug, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And I go to pull away, and she says, Mom, and this is my cognitively unique daughter. She says, no, Mom, wait. You have to stay till the hug is finished. And what a lesson. And then she hugs me, and of course I let go, and I cried. But that she got that. No, Mom, you stay till the hug is finished. Right.
Because you weren't mindful. You were putting out fires and, hug, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. And just, you look at, those are the gifts that we get, and I'm going like, wow, and working with what is inclusion, diversity, you have to sort of think, you have to demand, like you have to challenge. It's not just to, you don't get away with stuff, but you really give them that respect of challenge. And people take us down roads and over cliffs and over mountains we've never been. I say, you got books in your library? I've never seen those books. Could you please share what's in your book?
Awesome. Thank you very much for talking to us today. This was great. I had a couple other questions, but I don't think they were sort of formed for your, so we will be talking to another group. We'll be talking to Real Wheels as well in this series. My friend James Saunders, you probably know James.
Yep,
I knew James. I've known James for years. But again, so we have all the Theatre Terrific website and everything on the our information page at the bottom of the screen. And so please check it out. If you have any other questions or comments, please do them when this airs. And again, Susanna, thank you very much for joining us today. Nice to meet you virtually, maybe at some other time. And that will be it for the RCD ShareNet today. I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.